Buenos dias, Zamboanga Peninsula. Welcome sa Kapihan sa Bagong Pilipinas sa ng Presidential Communications Office and Philippine Information Agency. Ang programang ito ay isang plataforma para sa mga national government agencies natin upang ihayag ang kanilang mga programa at serbisyo sa taong bayan. Bago ang lahat, gusto po nating anyayahin ang mga manonood po natin na i-like, mag-comment po at mag-share po sa ating Facebook Live via PIA Western Mindanao Facebook page and via other government agencies Facebook pages. Sa ating pong ika-14th episode ngayon sa ating Kapihan sa Bagong Pilipinas ay makakasama natin ang mga attached agencies ng Department of Justice. We have with us from Public Attorney's Office, from Parole and Probation Administration, and National Prosecution Service. Maya-maya po ay makakapanayam natin sila at mapapakinggan din po natin ang kanilang mga programa at serbisyo and of course ang kanilang mga accomplishment. But of course, we would like also to welcome our viewers po. We have with us po nanonood sa atin ngayon ang ating mga media partners who are watching po from Isabela City, Zamboanga de Sibugay, Zamboanga del Norte, and Zamboanga del Sur. And of course, dito po sa Zamboanga City na kasama natin ngayon sa ating venue. Makikilala na po natin, ipapakilala na po natin ang ating mga panauhin ngayong araw. We will hear first from the Public Attorney's Office. We have of course, the regional director po nila, we have Attorney Eduardo Gonzalez.
Good morning, Miss Myra. Magandang umaga po sa lahat. Good morning to my colleagues in the Parole and Probation Office and from the Prosecution Service. Magandang umaga sa mga kaibigan natin from media and to our viewers online. At kami po ay nagpapasalamat na binigyan kami ng pagkakataon na maging bahagi sa programang ito para maipahayag ang aming mga programa at serbisyo para sa ating mga kababayan at ang aming mga accomplishment po from January to June 2024. Ngayon po, allow me to share with you our video presentation. Audio-visual po ito. Panoorin po natin. Thank you.
The Public Attorney's Office is the principal law office of the government in a The Public Attorney's Office is the principal law office of the government in extending free legal services to indigent persons in criminal, civil, labor, administrative, and other quasi-judicial cases pursuant to Republic Act No. 9404 and its implementing rules and regulations. The Public Attorney's Office exists to provide the indigent litigants, the oppressed, the marginalized, and underprivileged members of the society free access to courts, judicial and quasi-judicial agencies by rendering legal services, counseling, and assistance in consonance with a constitutional mandate that free access to courts shall not be denied to any person by reason of poverty. The day-to-day operations of the Public Attorney's Office is guided by its operations manual and citizens charter in extending the following mandated legal services to its clientele, such as legal representation, legal counseling, legal documentation and administration of oath, mediation and conciliation, custodial and inquest assistance, jail visitation and decongestion activities, and legal information dissemination and outreach activities. The legal services provided by the PAO may be categorized into regular judicial and quasi-judicial services, instant services, outreach services, and limited services. Regular judicial service is rendered to qualified individuals who need legal representation for their cases pending before the courts and quasi-judicial agencies. Quasi-judicial service pertains to the mediation and conciliation services of the office for qualified individuals whose cases are not yet filed in court. This service aims to bring together the involved parties to discuss their differences and assist them in developing a mutually agreeable and beneficial solution to their disputes. Instant services pertains to legal counseling and legal documentation, as well as administration of oath. These services are rendered in an instant and completed in a short period of time. Outreach services include assistance to persons undergoing police interrogation or inquest proceedings, jail visitation and decongestion activities, and legal information dissemination, as well as barangay outreach activities. Limited services are those limited legal assistance rendered for a particular incident in the case filed in court, such as assistance for arraignment only, assistance for pre-trial only, assistance for promulgation of judgment only, and such others such as filing of petition or motion for bail or reduction of bail. As to the accomplishment of the office region-wide from January to June 2024, the office handled 17,103 cases. For limited services, 1,173. For mediation and conciliation, 406. For instant services, 140,196. Outreach activities, 844. As to the number of cases received from January to June 2024, 4,353. And terminated cases or dispositions totaling 3,974, out of which 3,555 or 89.46% are favorable dispositions, while 419 or 10.54% unfavorable dispositions. In sum, the office was able to serve a total of 153,169 clients and handled 18,276 cases. For other accomplishments, the office region-wide was able to cause the release of 1,139 persons deprived of liberty. Participated also in the National Women's Month celebration as lecturer in several events on women's rights, Magna Carta of Women, and other related topics, as well as rendered instant legal services to women during the celebration. The participation of the office also includes visitation to jails, particularly to women dormitories, and rendered the needed legal assistance. The office also participated in the Love for All Caravan, spearheaded by the First Lady, and in Bagong Pilipinas Servicio Fair, held last May here in Zamboanga City. In those two events, the office rendered instant legal services to several individuals who availed the services of the government. Finally, the office also did have some home visitations to PWDs, the sick, the old age, and the likes who cannot leave their homes for the legal services they needed. Public attorneys and staff reached out to these individuals to extend the legal services needed.
Magsikap ng mabuti ka na, kuminhawa tayo, malaki natin
Maraming salamat po sa Public Attorney's Office po sa inyong presentation. And with that, we will now proceed po. We have with us the Chief Probation and Parole Officer from Parole and Probation Administration in Region 9. We have Maria Lourdes Santos Guangco.
Thank you, Ms. Mayra. Good morning, kunel di aton mga eldimyo mga uban na kiemprente, my co-resource persons from the Public Attorney's Office, Director Gonzales, and from the National Prosecution Service, Fiscal Elumba, the members of the media who are with us here, and those who are watching online through Facebook. Buenos dias con todo con ustedes. I represent the Parole and Probation Administration Region 9, and I am the Chief Probation Office for Zamboanga City Parole and Probation Office number 1, based here in Zamboanga City. Our regional officer in charge has ARD Ruth Perucho has some important appointments, so she cannot be with us this morning. The Parole and Probation Administration has 2 field offices here in Zamboanga. No? These are the Zamboanga City Parole and Probation Office number 1 and 2. And we are a community-based rehabilitation. We give community-based rehabilitation programs to probationers, parolees, and pardonees. Okay? So we also have a presentation prepared for today.
Administration. Ang Parole and Probation Administration o PPA ay isang ahensya na nasa ilalim ng Department of Justice. Ang mandato ng Parole and Probation Administration ay pangalagaan at tulungang makapagbagong buhay ang mga nakatulang nagkasala sa batas na nasa ilalim ng probation at parole system. 3 ang serbisyo ng PPA: investigation, supervision, at rehabilitation. Investigation. Para sa probation, nag-iimbestiga ang isang probation officer sa bisa ng court order. Sa parole naman, ang Board of Pardons and Parole ang nagre-request ng investigasyon. Supervision. Dito, sinisiguro ng supervising officer na ang probationers, parolees, at pardonees na nasa kanyang pangangalaga ay nakasusunod sa mga kondisyon ng kanilang pansamantalang paglaya. Rehabilitation. Sa rehabilitasyon ng mga probationer, parolee at pardonee, ginagamit ng PPA ang Therapeutic Community Ladderized Program, Restorative Justice, at tulong ng Volunteer Probation Assistance. Narito naman ang sagot sa mga karaniwang tanong tungkol sa probation. Ano nga ba ang probation? Ang probation ay ang pansamantalang kalayaan ng isang nahatulang nagkasala sa batas o convicted offender. Pero paano malalaman kung ang isang nahatulan ay pasok o hindi sa probation? Ang mga convicted offender na hindi pa nagsisilbi ng kanilang sentensya at hindi naman specifically disqualified ay pwedeng mag-apply for probation sang-ayon sa probation law. Upang mas maging malinaw, narito ang mga hindi kwalipikado sa probation. Una, mga nasentensyahan ng higit pa sa 6 na taong pagkabilanggo. Pangalawa, mga nasentensyahan ng krimen laban sa seguridad ng bansa. Pangatlo, bukod sa bagong kaso kung saan ay nag-a-apply for probation ang petitioner, ay dati na pala siyang nahatulan sa isang paglabag na may parusang 6 na buwan at 1 araw na pagkabilanggo o higit pa, o multa na 1,000 o mas malaki pa. Pang-apat, mga dati nang napailalim sa probation ayon sa PD 968. Panlima, malicious reporting ayon sa Section 14C ng RA 9160 na mas kilala na Anti-Money Laundering Act of 2001. Pang-anim, mga nasentensyahan sa paglabag sa Omnibus Election Code Section 264. Pampito, mga nakatulan ng drug trafficking or pushing ayon sa RA 9165 Section 24. At panghuli, mga nakatulang lumabag sa Wage Rationalization Act. Kung aprobado ng Korte ang petition for probation, may mga obligasyon ng isang probationer na kailangan sundin. Mag-report sa probation office sa loob ng 72 oras mula nang matanggap ang probation order. Magpakita o mag-report sa araw, oras, at paraan na itinakda ng supervising officer. Sundin ang iba pang mga kondisyon na itinakda ng korte. Tandaan, ang probation ay pribilehiyo, hindi karapatan. Ang pribilehiyo ng probation ay isang beses lang maaaring gamitin ng isang nagkasala sa batas. Kapag napatunayang lumabag, maaaring baguhin ng korte ang mga kondisyon ng probation depende sa naturang paglabag. O di kaya'y bawiin ng tuluyan ang probation. Kung pasok sa probation, maghain sa korte ng application for probation sa loob ng 15 araw mula ng masentensyahan. Karagdagang paalala. Ang trial court ang maaaring magbigay ng probation sa petitioner, bawiin ito o tapusin ang probation period. Ang Board of Pardons and Parole naman ang nagpoproseso ng petitions for parole at pardon. Para sa iba pang tanong o paglilinaw tungkol sa probation, makipag-ugnayan lang sa probation office sa inyong lugar. Ito ang Parole and Probation.
All right. All right, I believe meron pa po tayong pahabol na presentation from the Parole and Probation Administration. So may we hear po once again from Ma'am Guangco.
Okay, we were supposed to show the accomplishments of the region, no, in investigation, supervision, and rehabilitation. Okay, so that shows a comparative statistics from 2022, 23, and present from January till June. Okay, so do we have it? So the Parole and Probation Administration is a community-based rehabilitation program, and under this main program, we have program components. We have 3 program components, namely the Therapeutic Community Ladderized Program, which was earlier showed, and we have the Restorative Justice Program and the Volunteer Probation Assistant Program. Okay. When it comes to behavior modification of our clients, we have our Therapeutic Community Ladderized Program. Okay, so we can show it. Okay. First, we're going to show you our organizational structure. We have, of course, our regional officer in charge, okay? And we we have 35 organic personnel, okay, spread out in 10 field offices, okay, and we have 8 chief probation and parole offices. So there are 2 heads of offices handling concurrent positions for 2 field offices. Yes. And here are our accomplishments for the calendar year 2022-23 and the first and second quarter of 2024. Okay. So for investigation, you can see that we have an actual investigation acted, that's 2021. For 2023, we have increased in our output, that's 3,000. Okay. 542, and for the current year, for the first semester, we have 1,686. So we have the number of investigation received, ang laki, no? That's 6,000 for 2022, 6,354. For 2023, we have 6,304, and for the current year, we have 4,381, and this is the result of the plea bargaining agreement related to drug cases. Okay. Then we have our supervision caseload and compliance rate. For 2022, we have handled 4,937. We have that number of clients. For 2023, and our compliance rate was 99.27%. For 2023, we have handled 6,281, and that's a compliance rate of 98.06%. And for the current year, first semester, we have 6,269 supervision cases with a compliance rate of 99.43%. Okay. For rehabilitation services, for 2022, we had 160,434 services. For 2023, 192,751 rehabilitation services. For the current year, we have 110,951. Okay. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much po for sharing with us po your accomplishment. Ma'am Guwangco, the chief po from the Zamboanga City po, ma'am, no, parole and probation. Thank you very much po. With that, we will proceed now with the Office of the Regional Prosecutor in Region 9. So we have with us Fiscal Manuel Donato Elumba.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Basically, the National Prosecution Service has 2 main functions. The first is, of course, prosecuting criminal cases which are filed before the courts. And the second is to conduct preliminary investigations and inquest proceedings. This is in pursuance of its primary purpose, which is to see to it that justice is done. For today, we will not be talking about statistics, as the data that we are supposed to present is quite voluminous. And instead, we will be going through a very important development which was issued by the Department of Justice. We call this the DOJ Department Circular number 20, which was issued early last year. So we have prepared a short PowerPoint presentation for this. According to Secretary Remulla, which is the Secretary of Justice, this is a revolutionary initiative that bridges the gap between law enforcement agencies and prosecutors for a more seamless, efficient, and just investigation and case build-up system. The cases covered by DC-20 are as follows. These are heinous crimes, such as treason, which is a crime against national security, piracy, qualified bribery, parricide, murder. And basically, these are cases which, or these are offenses which the penalty imposed is either reclusion perpetua or life imprisonment or higher, which is death, but the death penalty was somewhat abolished sometime in the past. So next. Among the salient points of DC-20 is, for cases covered, the quantum of proof at the prosecution level has been increased. Previously, it was probable cause, which has been defined as such facts and circumstances which would lead a reasonably discreet and prudent man to believe that the crime has been committed and the person being charged is probably guilty thereof. But now, with the issuance of Department Circular Number 20, the quantum of proof required is now prima facie case and a reasonable certainty of conviction based on available documents, witnesses, or real evidence and the like. In the words of Yusek Andres, ika nga, dati, pwede kang mag-file ng case in court kung fiscal ka, okay lang kahit kulang pa yung ebidensya kasi probable cause lang yung hinahanap natin. Even mere allegations will be entertained. But now, in view of the issuance of this circular, kailangan ilabas mo na lahat ng ebidensya mo para hindi nagka-clog yung dockets ng court. Yun yung main purpose nitong DC-20. Kasi pagdating sa court na final mo, mahina yung kaso, kulang ka ng ebidensya, i-dismiss lang yan outright. So yan yung main purpose ng DC-20 talaga. So isa pang key feature ng DC-20 is in preliminary investigation, yung cases covered ng DC-20, kailangang i-evaluate muna. And after evaluation, yung assisting prosecutor na tawag natin, mag-i-issue ng certification kung yun bang case na final, yun bang complaint na final kasama ng lahat ng ebidensya na sinubmit is sufficient ba para mag-proceed to preliminary investigation or kulang. Pag sufficient, i-recommend niya na yan sa head of office who will assign the investigating prosecutor to conduct the preliminary investigation. Kung insufficient naman, ibabalik ito ngayon sa complainant or sa law enforcement agency involved or kung sino man yung nag-refer sa prosecution office para ma-comply nila kung ano man yung kulang. And they will be given sufficient time to comply, and if hindi pa rin nila ma-comply, ite-terminate na yung preliminary investigation without prejudice to refiling the same pag okay na yung case build-up. Sa inquest cases naman, ganon din, may certification na rin na nire-require ngayon kung sufficient ba yung sinubmit ng complainant or ng law enforcement agency na nag-refer sa prosecution service. Kung sufficient na yung complaint, mag-i-issue ng certification yung inquest prosecutor. Kung hindi naman sufficient, ibabalik rin ulit. Same process sa preliminary investigation. Ang pinagkaiba lang nito is, sa inquest cases, ito yung mga cases na yung suspect is arestado na. Kasi normally yung offenses na commit nila was committed in the presence of the law enforcement agent or yung mga caught in the act or in flagrante delicto na tawag natin. So, next. Ito rin isang bagong development is sa drug cases. Kasi sa Section 21 ng Republic Act 9165, nagre-require tayo ng insulating witnesses which may be comprised of either an elected official, a member of the media, or a member of the DOJ. So ngayon, kung kulang yung prosecutors na sa area, pwedeng mag-designate ang Department of Justice ng employees from the LGU of the area concerned para sila yung maging insulating witness to represent the DOJ. Kasi ginagawa itong technicality kadalasan ng mga ng mga akusado sa drug cases na walang insulating witnesses at the time. So dapat i-dismiss yung case. Hindi na preserve yung integrity ng evidence kasi walang insulating witnesses. So ngayon, medyo na-solve na natin yung problema na pag walang DOJ representative, pwedeng mag-designate yung department ng mga employees sa LGU. So, since its issuance early last year, yung NPS, they already put it into practice yung guidelines ng DC-20. And as a result, yung mga cases covered nito, pag pinafile sa court, na medyo mataas na yung success rate natin. Kasi, dati, pag kulang-kulang yung ebidensya mo, dinidismiss yan ng court kaagad during the judicial determination of probable cause stage. Kasi kulang eh. So, kung hindi naman nila i-dismiss, later on, pagdating sa trial, mahina yung kaso mo, maa-acquit lang yun yung case. Furthermore, gaya nga ng na-mention ko ngayon lang, na-declog yung courts natin kasi hindi na tayo basta-basta nagpa-file ng case sa court eh. Nagki-case build up na tayo ng maayos. Ang problema kasi pag nagpa-file lang tayo basta-basta, dumadami yung case sa court, hindi naman kayang pagsabay-sabayin ng court i-resolve yan. Talagang iisa-isahin yan. So, yun, dahil sa DC-20, nabawasan na rin yung mga pending cases sa court. However, meron pa rin tayong isang pinakamalaking challenge. Sa pag-prosecute ng case, ang pinakamahirap talaga is i-secure mo yung attendance ng witness and ipatestify sila sa korte. Kasi kahit gaano kalakas yung kaso mo, pag yung witness mo hindi nag-testify sa court, talagang malalaglag yung kaso. So, yun lang po. Maraming salamat.
Thank you very much po, Fiscal Alumba, for your presentation. Now po, we will proceed with our question and answer portion. Unahin ko po munang basahin yung ating mga katanungan mula po sa ating mga media watching online from other provinces. So first po, we have a question from Zamboanga del Sur po ito, from Sir Manny Maulana, from Infolink RTV DXID FM of Pagadian City. First question po, ano po ang mga bagong ruling or provisions related to file case na nangangailangan ng inyong serbisyo? This is for NPS po, Prosecution Office.
Gaya ng napag-usapan natin ngayon lang, isa sa mga bagong issuances is yung DC-20, which is yun ngang active participation ng prosecutors sa pag-case build-up. As to mga rulings, mga Supreme Court decisions, mostly applicable naman yan sa courts, hindi siya sa NPS talaga. Pero sa guidelines ngayon, itong DC-20, may bago rin ngayon na rules on preliminary investigation na kaka-issue lang, and it just took effect din mga recently.
Thank you. Follow up po dyan. Meron po ba tayong data on ilan na po yung na-file na cases as of this year 2024 at ilan na din po ang cases solved?
May data kami na mape-present within Zamboanga City, pero sa ibang parts ng region hindi pa namin na-receive as of now.
Thank you po. Next question naman po, this is from Zamboanga Sibugay Media. This is again for NPS po. What measures does the National Prosecution Service take to ensure po fair justice, particularly in high-profile cases in the Zamboanga, Sibugay, or in the region?
Actually, hindi lang naman sa Zamboanga, Sibugay. Applicable naman ito sa lahat. Measures. Ito, isa na rin itong DC-20 na tinakel natin. No? Kasi nga, dati, nung wala pa itong DC-20, pag yung mga matataas na kaso na, mga murder, rape, pwedeng mere allegations lang i-file na in court. kawawa yung akusado kasi itong mga offenses na covered ng DC-20, these are non-bailable cases. So, maghihintay ka talagang nasa loob, yung akusado nakakulong. Ngayon, since inisyu na itong DC-20, talagang pag-aaralan muna ng prosecutor's office yung kaso. Kasi mahirap mag-file ng case tapos inosente pala yung na-file ng case eh.
Thank you po. Next po is for the Parole and Probation Administration. How does the PPA po enhance rehabilitation programs to ensure successful reintegration of parolees and probationers into society?
Okay. So as we have presented earlier, our rehabilitation is made up of 3 components, okay, program components. We have the Therapeutic Community Ladderized Program, which takes care of behavior modification. We have the Restorative Justice Program, wherein we are coordinating with other agencies and especially the barangays and the community so that our clients will be able to have a meaningful reintegration into the community and the society. And who's helping us in all this? We have a program on the volunteer probation assistance, that's volunteerism, and they are the face of the community. They're the ones helping us in seeing to it that community accepts and understands the plight of our clients who are trying their best to turn a new leaf, okay, because it's so difficult to carry the stigma of criminality, no? So paglabas nila from jail, they will be seen as ex-convicts, and it's difficult to erase that. So we have these programs. We make sure that through the Therapeutic Community Ladderized Program, we help them change characteristics, traits, and even live a life that is drug-free. The journey really for rehabilitation is to change their lives from wrong living to right living. And for restorative justice, because crime is like a destruction of relationships. Okay? So here we are trying to reconcile offender with the victim, okay, that we will be able to have them live in the same community peacefully. And again, as I had said earlier, our assistants are the volunteers who help see to it that these programs are being implemented well in the community for our clients.
Thank you po, Ma'am Guangco. Next po, we have a question naman po. This is for PAO. We have Attorney Edgardo Gonzalez to answer po. How does the PAO address the demands for legal assistance, especially in underserved communities po? This is specific in Zamboanga, Sibugay.
Okay, over the years we have some measures adopted to ensure that lawyers are available in every place where legal services is needed. We strengthen our barangay outreach activities through legal information dissemination, and at the same time we deliver legal assistance like instant services. This is to create awareness in the community of the different services that they can avail of with our office. Also, we have night duties, and at present in our place in Region 9, our lawyers are on call 24/7 so that anyone who is in need of urgent legal assistance, such as those who were arrested by our law enforcement agencies, they can contact the PAO, public attorneys, so the necessary assistance could be given to them. The contact number of our public attorneys are posted in the police office. We furnish copies to the prosecution service and in some conspicuous places so that the public can readily contact us when needed. Also, we have this police precinct monitoring. Weekly, we go to the different police station to determine whether there are detainees there that are overstaying. Sometimes there are instances where a case is already filed in court, but they have not been transferred yet to the BJMP, for example, even if, or sometimes the court is yet to release the commitment order so they can be transferred to the place where they are supposed to be committed. So these are some of the measures that we adopted. And also we have, as featured in my presentation earlier, home visitations, so that our services may be extended to those people even if they cannot leave their homes, such as those in the hospitals also. When they are hospitalized, this home visitation program of the office is made for those who are sick, old age, and those PWDs that cannot leave their homes. Our lawyers, when informed, will go to their house and provide the necessary services, such as signing of legal documents that requires the signing in the presence of the lawyer, but they cannot come to the office. Also, PWDs that cannot climb up the building, our lawyers will come down to serve them. That's how we strengthen. These are the measures that we adopted. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you po, Attorney. Next po, this is from Basilan naman. Question for National Prosecution Service. Can you share with us po top 5 most significant cases that your office has handled in Region 9 and what were the outcomes of these cases?
5 cases. I only have 2, no, which I can recall. First is the Myrna Mabanza case, which is pending before the Anti-Terrorism Court, which is a regional trial court here in Zamboanga City. This is considered a high-profile case, considering that Myrna Mabanza is also on trial for several offenses involving terrorism and terrorist financing in several courts all over the country. So, it is quite alarming na nakapasok na ito dito sa Zamboanga City. As to the status of the case, it is still on the pre-trial stage. I believe it is scheduled for pre-trial next month. The second case is also a case involving illegal possession of explosives, which was tried before the Regional Trial Court, Branch 35 here in Zamboanga City. This is also considered a high-profile case kasi on the day of the promulgation of judgment, nagkaroon ng bomb threat dito sa Hall of Justice just recently. So talagang pinasara yung Hall of Justice. And yung mga relatives ng accused na ito talagang nagtatanong kung anong oras yung promulgation, kung matutuloy. In fact, I believe one of the co-accused there was represented by the Public Attorney's Office, pero that accused was acquitted. But the other one, the main accused, who was represented by a private lawyer, she was convicted naman. Actually, yung promulgation of judgment, pasikreto na lang ginawa. It was supposed to be held in the morning, but since may bomb threat, talagang pinasikreto na lang nila na promulgate in the afternoon. I also want to share one case which I have handled personally when I was still in the private practice. This case happened in Basilan. The accused, there were several accused in these cases, and all of them were detained for almost a decade. Now, ang problema doon is, ang kaso na yun is non-bailable. Illegal possession of explosives and meron ding drugs. Hindi sila makapagpiyansa, so they were detained for more than 10 years. The case went on for more than 10 years until I took over. Ang problema is, sa pag-serve ng search warrant, may mali. So, I was able to see that, and we filed a demurrer to evidence which was granted by the court, and all the accused were acquitted. Ngayon, ang gusto ko lang sanang ipunto dito is, naiwasan sana natin yung ganun katagal na detention kung as early as that time, meron na tayong DC-20 na i-evaluate mo muna lahat ng ebidensya sa prosecutor level bago mo i-file sa court. Kasi kung gaya ng ganun, more than 10 years kayong nakulong, wala naman pa, na pwede naman pala kayong makalaya agad. Although hindi naman sinasabi na inosente kayo, pero kasi lahat naman tayo presumed innocent until the contrary is proved. Okay?
Thank you very much po, Fiscal Alumban. Next naman po, another question for PPA, Parole and Probation. How has your office po addressed the issue of overcrowding in the correctional facilities in Region 9, and what measures are being taken to reduce recidivism case?
I think when you say correctional facilities, you mean the jail and San Ramon, okay? We have a support program for jail decongestion. So our investigation addresses jail decongestion problems and overcrowding in jails, okay? And then we also, like we do have a very heavy caseload for investigation, and to think that we only have 6 probation officers doing investigation for the whole of Zamboanga City. So we do request, and the regional office usually approves the request for task force, okay? As of today, we have 2 probation officers coming from Dipolog and Zamboanga del Sur, who will be with us for 2 weeks and help us in investigating for those who have applied for probation, both in jail and San Ramon Penal Farm. Okay, so we have a support program for that, and we also, aside from those referred from court, referrals from the court and the Board of Pardons and Parole, we also do like jail visits pa talaga to see if there are those whom we have missed, especially the PDLs, persons deprived of liberty and confined in San Ramon Prison and Penal Farm. Most of them have even already overstayed. Okay? But if we follow the process, it's the Board of Pardons and Parole who will be giving us referrals. And after receiving those referrals, we go and do pre-parole or pre-executive clemency interviews and write reports, write our recommendations to either the court or the Board of Pardons and Parole.
Thank you po, Ma'am Guangco. Next po, a question for Public Attorney's Office. How has your office po addressed the issue of access to legal representation for indigent or indigent defendants in Region 9, and what measures are being taken to improve this service?
I think I have already mentioned the answer related to that in the first question. But then again, on top of that, those that I have already mentioned, we see to it that the process in availing the services of the PAO is done smoothly and expeditiously. We reduce some of the requirements that will take time, and for those instant services, we have a policy that we have to complete the services or assistance needed within the day. We should not allow our client to return because it entails delay and expenses on the part of the client. Another is when at times our office is full of clients intending to avail of our services, we extend the working hours. We don't leave the office until all the clients in the premises are served. Also, we adopt this policy of no noon break so that even if the client comes during lunchtime, we have personnel or lawyer who will cater to them and address their concern.
Follow-up po, Attorney. Kumusta po yung handling sa cases ng ating mga friends rescued sa Zamboanga Peninsula? Ano po yung biggest challenge pagdating po sa pag-handle ng mga cases nila?
Well, Those our friends who were rescued, some of them, their cases were transferred to another venue because of the risk that the prosecutions probably saw it and it was allowed. But there are still some cases that remained in Region 9. There were challenges that we encountered, especially we have case where I will not mention the name. A suspect was arrested on his way out of the country simply because he bears the same name as one of the accused in one case, and he was charged with multiple cases in different places in Davao, Tawi-Tawi, Sulu, Basilan, Zamboanga City, Dipolog, and so many other places. But the number of cases that was plenty that was filed is within Region 9. It was referred to us by one of the senators. I will not mention the name again. So I had to come over to Zamboanga City to coordinate the efforts to establish, to show to the courts that this person is not one that was included in the charges. So eventually we were able to secure the release of these accused. But it takes a few months because the process is long, and we had to coordinate with the NBI, with the military, to certify that the real person named as accused was already dead.
Thank you po. Last question na lang po from a netizen po watching our Facebook Live. This is for Pao. Ano po yung mga kaso na maaaring idulog sa Pao?
Well, all cases for criminal, the accused. Pag ikaw yung akusado, pwede kang lumapit sa PAO para tulungan ka kapag ka kwalipikado. Kasi yung mandato namin ay para tulungan yung mga indigent. Yung definition namin ng indigency is based on monthly income. For the provinces, the individual net monthly income should not exceed 20,000 pesos. In the cities like Zamboanga City, should not exceed 22,000 pesos, and in Metro Manila, 24,000. So, yan po yung mga kaso. In civil cases, almost all except mga ejectment, we cannot represent the landlord. Administrative cases, labor cases, madami po kami. Lahat, practically.
Thank you very much po, Attorney. Next po, we will now proceed with our media po on-site. I believe meron na po tayong mga gustong magtanong. So first po to ask question is Ma'am Julie Alipala of Philippine Daily Inquirer.
Good morning. Gusto ko sanang malaman kung bakit bumababa yung mga kaso. Teka, tingnan ko lang yung... Kasi I did a screenshot of your presentation and I noticed that numbers like investigation caseload I observed na from 2022 to 2020, January to June 2024, the number of investigation received bumababa siya. And we also observe, and we wanted to find out also what do you mean by disposition rate. And second, we also want to find out bakit bumababa rin ang supervision, handled case, and what do you mean by the word compliance rate.
So, first, Ma'am Julie, no, that's bakit bumababa yung investigation from 2022, 2023, and 2024. You have to understand that yung mga referrals received are outputs of the court. So meaning to say, if we receive less, no, less number din ang nag-apply ng probation. And application for probation ay nandoon sa korte. So we just receive referrals from the court. Okay? Wala yung walk-in na nag-a-apply ng probation mismo sa probation office. So it just shows also that those applying for probation has also dwindled in numbers. Okay? And second, yung disposition rate, okay? Disposition is how fast we act on the cases that we received. Okay? Bumababa dahil, okay, because of the plea bargaining agreement, dumagsa yung referrals, especially in drug cases sa office. And we were overwhelmed. Okay? So, maliit lang yung aming disposition. Gustuhin man namin, okay? But we are also limited sa ano lamang kaya ng isang probation officer. So, malaki yung aming investigation caseload. So, disposition is quite slowed down dahil sa nga dumami. Okay? So, law enforcement, dumami yung mga personnel, probation officer, even before yung plea bargaining agreement, no? That was in 2017, okay? Kung ilan kami noon, ganon pa rin kami ngayon, minus pa yung mga nag-retire. Okay? So, mahina yung aming pagpasok ng mga personnel. And the third one, ma'am?
Yung sa
supervision din.
Supervision handled case, and what do you mean by compliance
okay.
rate?
Dwindling din yung supervision cases dahil maliliit lang din yung mga supervision period. So ang bilis ng aming terminate, no? Submission to court of final reports to terminate the probation, supervision of a probationer. That's why bumababa yung aming number dahil mabilis yung aming pag-terminate. Dahil na rin, kompleto na sila sa kanilang probation supervision period.
Okay. Ma'am, may we know the number of parolees ba yan? Parolees and pardonies na scheduled like this year or for perhaps
okay.
Yung mga lumabas na rin po talaga.
I don't know if...
You have the number of...
we do not have the number dyan siguro. We don't have the number, ma'am. Okay? I'm sorry. Pero yung aming supervision caseload, I think has already reached for one office. We have a supervision caseload of 800. And that's office number 1, and office number 2, a little like 600. So more than 1,000 yung aming supervision caseload. And you have to think we have an individualized treatment para sa kanila. Okay? So mahirap para sa amin because of our 3 functions: investigation, supervision, and rehabilitation pa talaga. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
So how, like last year, how many former PDL that we welcomed into the mainstream society?
Like, we have received supervision cases yan. Yung aming caseload last year, okay. I'm sorry, ma'am, because we have presented yung sa... Yes. So out of that 1,000, yung 1,000, pati carry over na yon, ma'am. Okay? Pati carry over na yon. And the last question was, ano yun, Ma'am Jewel?
Supervision. Anyway, ma'am, how many additional personnel your office is talagang kailangan idagdag?
Ideally, ma'am, isang probation officer, ideal investigation caseload for a month should be sa ngayon, no? From 20 to 30. Pero, overwhelming na talaga yan. Kasi kung lahat ng serbisyo ibibigay pa namin, from 12 to 15 lang sana. So we have 1,000 plus investigation caseload with only 3 probation officers for one office. So, ilang probation officers pa talaga ang kailangan. But, okay, we have partnered, ma'am. Like, we have partnered with the Ateneo Law School through the Zamboanga City Justice Zone, and we'll sit down with Attorney Alba kung paano pa namin mai-strengthen yung aming partnership para man lang maka-assist sila, yung kanilang mga law students. And we have task force coming from the other field offices. Like sinabi ko nga, ma'am, ngayon, we have in our office one probation officer from Zamboanga del Sur and one from Dipolog City PPO who will be helping us in interviewing, no, and in investigation, interviewing PDLs from City Jail and San Ramon for 2 weeks sila, ma'am, dito.
Thank you. Pwede pa isa kay Prosecutor. Hi, sir. Dito sa sinasabing reasonable certainty of conviction, dito sa DC-20, do we have numbers right now of particular cases na tingin natin talagang bumilis siya? At meron talagang, you know,
for Zamboanga City, ma'am, yung data natin dyan is nasa City Prosecutor's Office po. Hindi pa yata nila na-prepare. Pero lahat ng cases na covered ng DC-20, yun, hindi ko rin I cannot ascertain for now po kung ilang, if how many cases talaga yung masabi natin na bumilis or naging mas successful in court. Kasi mostly ng pending cases natin sa court is ito yung mga filed before the issuance of DC-20 pa.
Yeah, okay. We've seen the listed heinous crimes. In Zamboanga City, ano yung pinakamataas?
What pinakamataas na?
So yung sa listed crimes.
Sad to say, yung rape po. And of course, drug cases. Yung rape, ma'am, ako na personal experience, no? Almost every time na nag-inquest duty ako or nakaka-receive ako ng cases for preliminary investigation, yung involved is yung parent and yung minor child.
Family.
And hindi lang minsan nangyayari. Like 20 times, 50 times nire-rape yung bata. So yan po yung
It's more on incest?
Yes. Meron ding mga pinsan, meron ding mga classmates, ganun. Pero rape talaga at saka drug cases yung marami po as of now.
Okay. Sige, parang kakalungkot. Pwedeng, like, how is this, like, I don't know if you're handling the case of Nur Hassan Jamiri, who surrendered 2018, March 2018. Is your office handling his case?
Hindi po ako familiar sa name.
That's an Abu Sayyaf leader in Basilan.
I believe it's being handled by a different prosecutor, pero sa sa ORP rin po yan under.
Okay, kasi
parang si Fiscal Eva Cadavedo siguro nag-handle yan.
Kasi there were some former victims claiming that they were not even consulted when he was declared as, he's a free man. Parang ganun. So, baka may data lang. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you po, Ma'am Julie. Next po, we have Ma'am Jasper Sumagang of XFM.
Good morning po. What are the problem usually DOJ encounter when handling cases?
Is this addressed to the PAO or to the Fiscal's Office po?
Fiscal's Office.
Fiscal's Office. Ngayon sa Fiscal's Office, gaya ng na-mention ko kanina po sa ating PowerPoint presentation, ang pinakamalaking challenge dyan is yung pagdala ng witness sa court para mag-testify. Kasi kahit gaano pa ka-solid yung case build-up nyo, kumpleto lahat ng affidavits, documents, iba pang ebidensya, pag hindi yan na kapag testify yung witness, baliwala yan kasi our courts are courts of record. So pag hindi nakapag-testify yan, hindi marirecord yung ebidensya mo. Hindi mo ma-offer yun in evidence. Hindi i-consider ng court yan sa pag-render ng judgment. So yan po yung para sa akin pinakamalaking challenge pa rin hanggang ngayon is yung pagdala ng witness sa court para mag-testify.
Sa PAO din po, totoo po ba na kung wala pong pera ang isang tao, malaki ang chance na matalo sa kaso, even with PAO?
Kung sa akin mo tinatanong yan, we see to it that we deliver quality service to our client team. Magagaling po yung mga abogado namin. In fact, kababalik lang namin lahat coming from a training. We have 1 week training that's continuing mandatory legal education for lawyers so that we'll be updated, and it is provided by the office. And from time to time, periodically, sinesend namin yung mga abogado namin sa mga trainings to keep them updated and abreast with the recent circulars and rules and regulations. Saka minomonitor po namin yung mga abogado namin kung ano yung performance nila sa pag-handle ng mga cases. So, magagaling po mga abogado, I can assure you. Kasi kung hindi sila magagaling, dami silang palpak, hindi sila tatagal sa amin.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you po, Ma'am Jasper. Next po, we have Ma'am Letty Melitante of Zamboanga Today.
Good morning po. I like to say this, sir. You know, the most or the hardest part na sa mga members sa media po, iyon ma-interview po namin yun, Hall of Justice. And thank you so much for this opportunity today na nandito po kami, and it's our opportunity to ask you question. So my question is about, kumusta po ang DOJ under the bagong Pilipinas? Ano po ang pagbabago natin compare in the previous years and today, especially po when it comes to cases, to the so-called justice delayed, justice denied?
Baka we can answer po lahat. Sige po.
I'll go first. Gaya, I believe hindi po ninyo naabutan yung presentation ng NPS. Gaya po ng sabi ko kanina, isa sa pinaka-importanting development sa prosecution service is yung pag-issue ng DC-20 po. Ang naging resulta po nito is nag-increase na yung chances ng conviction sa courts and nalilesen din yung dockets. Yung DC-20 po is issued under the administration of President BBM. So, we thank him for that and also Secretary Remulla. Yun po.
Attorney Gonzalez?
Well, yung measures ng Public Attorney's Office to improve, to continue to improve in the delivery of our services is continuing. Itong bagong Pilipinas kasi yung lalo na yung Servicio Fair, they held that last time here in Zamboanga. It is a one-stop shop, and all those activities nag-participate po kami, including those pre-event activity, including those lab for all, where mga medical services, sumama kami doon. Kasi hinihintay namin na yung mga nag-avail ng medical services or assistance, kung medical problem, sinasalo din namin at the same time. So parang one-stop shop. Yung pag-innovate ng procedure namin so that the client can, para magiging client-friendly yung environment in our office is continuing. We evaluate ourselves periodically. We are ISO registered. So yung standards po namin international po. So kaya yan, continuing po. Yung bagong Pilipinas po, we try to level up our to comply with the standards expected of us.
Ma'am Guang po.
Okay. Yes. Under the bagong Pilipinas, we have upgraded our rehabilitation program, and we have, the agency has entered into memorandum of agreement with the Department of Labor and Employment, TESDA, even ALS. Kasi kung kami lang kulang and hindi namin kaya, so we need to do interagency coordination. So we have the assistance from under the DILI program of Department of Labor and Employment. We have been recently given, I think, more than 3 million for our clients. Kung ano mang gusto nilang livelihood, and DOLE will be able to provide for that. Of course, training from TESDA, and we have also clients who are still interested to get formal, non-formal education, yung noon, ngayon nasa ALS program sila. So we're very happy with this new developments and new partnerships we're having with other agencies. Noon meron na, pero mas lang, no? Na-strengthen ngayon. At sa ngayon, this is a very big thing and we're so happy, no, that the Regional Director, Dole, has approved and it was already released to us yung amount for our clients. Each field office was given 10 slots, 10 clients who will be able to avail this. And these clients were carefully selected. So we have like, there were clients who asked for bangka. Those are fishermen. So we also have welders, plumbers, no? Even agricultural equipments. Dollar will be providing for that.
Ma'am, I understand in the previous year, some decade ago, kulang po tayo ng mga attorney because most of them prepare to exercise their profession private than working in Hall of Justice. Kumusta po, ma'am? Are we still lacking judges or attorney to handle cases considering every year nag-i-increase po yung population? So with that, it also increases cases in court. So are we still lacking attorney dito o mga judges to handle cases?
Ma'am, I think Director Gonzales or Fiscal Elumba will be in the position to answer you.
Well, as to number of lawyers, we have enough. Not as ideal, but we have enough. The caseload has substantially reduced because we increased the number of lawyers. Also, we have additional courts created. Maybe meron pang coming. There are already created but unorganized yet. No judges yet that have been appointed. So ang sa aming site din po naman, every time there is an additional branch of court created, we have a corresponding item also created so that additional public attorneys will be appointed. And we have our policy that no court should be left without any public attorney assigned. So, ganun po. Manageable na po yung caseload namin sa ngayon. Unlike before, libo po yung bawat abogado sa amin. Kanya, yung sinasabi ninyo na walang masyadong gustong pumapasok sa government service, especially PAW. Because of one, caseload. Second is the compensation. Maliit. Ngayon, in-upgrade na din kami at par with, at least, at par with the prosecution. So, pili sila kung papasok sila sa fiscal or sa PAW. At saka sa amin, para makakuha kami ng maraming applicants, kasi yung entry qualification namin per law is you must have in the practice of law, yung experience for at least 5 years. Same with the prosecution. When we were drafting the IIRR and the PAW law, I asked if you are going to stick to that qualification standard, no lawyer in private practice for 5 years will bother to join the PAW because by that time they are already stable. So I said, baka pwedeng mag-consult sa civil service, baka may remedyo. We can hire those lawyers who newly passed the bar. And the civil service says, yes, you can. But the appointment is temporary. Until they will reach 5 years experience, you can change the status of their appointment to permanent. So kadalasan po, ma'am, yung mga hina-hire po namin dito, dumadaan, kapapasa lang yan ng bar, hire agad. Pero every year, nire-renew yung appointment. At the same time, we have the opportunity to monitor their performance. Kapag ka substandard yung hindi siya masyadong masigasig sa pagganap sa kanyang tungkulin, pwede namin hindi i-renew yung appointment. Because we are after the quality ng serbisyo na ibibigay sa publiko. So ngayon po, marami nang pumapasok sa amin.
Yes. We share the same opinion with the Public Attorney's Office. Hindi naman ideal yung number of lawyers sa prosecution service, pero manageable naman yung trabaho. In fact, sa court po na kung saan ako naka-assign ngayon, we started with around almost 200 cases, but now we're down to mga less than 50 na lang po. So medyo mabilis yung disposal namin. Actually, nakatulong rin dito yung pag-enact ng NPS law. Nagkaroon tayo ng mga positions like prosecution attorney, which is my position right now. Parang hindi na tayo strict doon sa yung 5-year requirement gaya nung sa PAW. To be qualified as a prosecution attorney, you only have to be engaged in the practice of law for 2 years. So binabaan yung requirements. Nakatulong yun, at least dumami yung mga prosecutors ngayon. So lahat ng courts may prosecutors na naka-assign at least exclusively dyan ka lang sa court na yan. Ganun na. Kasi dati parang yung isang prosecutor, 2-3 court yung inaapiran. Hindi makapag-dispose ng mabilisan yung courts kasi hindi sila pwedeng mag-hearing araw-araw. So, nakatulong rin po talaga yung NPS law. And of course, sa ngayon, manageable naman yung trabaho natin.
Pwede. Lastly, I'm taking this opportunity talaga. Sir, sa bagong Pilipinas, office hour for government office is 8 to 5 p.m. Minsan kasi nagpunta ako dito, hindi pa yata yung 5 p.m., hindi na daw pwedeng pumasok. And they also limiting the entry of people who are transacting business inside the Hall of Justice. So how true, sir, na nililimit po natin ang entry ng mga tao pumupunta sa Hall of Justice? Ano po ba?
Ma'am, yung gate po ng Hall of Justice, wala po sa control namin. It's the court. It's the court. Kahit gusto namin papasukin yung kliyente, minsan nga yung abogado na namin bumababa. Well, unang-una, for security reasons. Alright? Kasi may mga high-profile cases, I understand, na nakapending dyan. And for the security na rin and safety of those mga lawyers, prosecutors, and judges inside the courtroom. Pagtanghali ka, kahit walang noon break, sinasara din yan, I understand. Kasi nakapakadian base ako, hindi na ako masyado. And kahit gusto namin hindi papasukin So, pero nandoon yun, we are ready to cater. Kung talagang urgent, sabi ko, yung abogado na available, baba. You meet the client outside if they cannot get inside the building. So, hindi po kontrolado namin yung pagpasok, yung means of egress and ingress ng building po.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Thank you po, sir.
Thank you very much po. Mabuti po yun, no, at na-understand din natin po yung process natin dito sa loob po ng Hall of Justice. Last na lamang po from RMN, we have Dang Bernardo.
Good morning, ma'am, sir. Good morning, everyone. So my question is to everyone. How does the PAW, parole, and NPS ensure that it is an independent and free from political interference, or how do you promote transparency?
Promote
transparency.
Well, we are always independent. The PAW is by law is an independent and autonomous office attached to the DOJ for purposes of policy coordination and sa budget. Okay? Kasi para hindi kami ma-influence, kasi sila nagpro-prosecute, kami yung nagde-depensa Kung iisa yung boss namin, medyo may cloud of suspicion kahit wala. So, when the PAW law was passed, we saw to it na i-detach ang Public Attorney's Office from the prosecution so that we can function independently, hindi kami pwede ma-influence. Also, we don't allow ourselves to be influenced by politicians or any other government officials or any influential people. We don't allow that. We do our job as we see fit. Okay? As to transparency, well, kung meron kasi tayong data privacy law. Okay? So, depende kung allowed na bunyag namin yung mga information na sa amin. As with respect to our clients, we cannot do that without the consent of our client because there is the so-called client's attorney privilege. Okay? Pero kung sa mga figures lang, statistics, we submit reports para makita yung performance namin, yung success rate namin, at saka yung disposition rates namin. Nandiyan po, nakikita, may figures po yan.
Yes, Ma'am Parol.
Okay, political interference. As a government employee, public servant, we are covered by the ethical standards. So like in application for probation or parole, we have already mentioned disqualifications and we just follow that, okay? So I'm thankful that in my experience as a probation officer, no politician also tried to get favor or influence our decisions. And even if somebody tries, okay, we can just say that we're just following the law. No? There's this disqualifications. We see if a person is disqualified, then we recommend for probation or parole. Okay?
That's good to hear, Ma'am.
Sa akin naman, it all goes down to the character of the person kasi kahit anong policy yung i-implement ng isang agency, kung yung mga tao talaga na nandyan na employed dyan sa ahensya na yan ay talagang poor yung karakter, hindi mo talaga ma-expect na magiging independent yan. And I am proud to say that the National Prosecution Service sa Zamboanga City, walang ganyang klaseng empleyado. Lahat tayo independent dito. Lahat tayo hindi na i-impluwensyahan ng kung sino man. In fact, ako, I can say, ang dami kong ininhibit na cases. Kasi yung akusado is kaibigan ko, dating kliyente ko. Alam ko lahat ng depensa nila. Alam ko lahat ng nangyari, nagkonsulta sa akin. So, ini-inhibit ko yan kasi ayaw kong may masabi tungkol sa opisina. Hindi lang tungkol sa akin, kundi tungkol sa opisina. So it all goes down to character talaga.
Okay, thank you, sir. Another question to NPS. Are there any plans to engage with the civil society organization or community group to improve public understanding of the National Prosecution Services role?
Yes, open naman po kami dyan sa mga ganyan. All you have to do is to invite our office through our head, which is Regional Prosecutor Araujo po. Open po kami dyan.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you po. Pahabol na lang po na question. This is for Fiscal Alumba po. Sa mga incest cases in relation to sa rape po, nakukulong ba ang mga perpetrators or may mga challenges din dito para mabigyan ng hustisya ang mga biktima?
That's a very good question, no? May mga cases kasi na inquest, which is yung gaya nga ng na-mention natin kanina, caught in the act or kakakomit pa lang ng crime, na-report agad, nakaresponde agad yung mga law enforcement agencies natin. Meron rin tayong cases na regularly filed or yung nag-undergo ng preliminary investigation. Ang challenge dito is, normally, pag preliminary investigation, if a-file sa'yo yung complaint, you evaluate, and then, pag sufficient na yung complaint, you issue a subpoena. By the time you issue a subpoena, yung perpetrator nagtatago na. Pero may case naman akong na-handle recently na detained siya at the time of the issuance of subpoena kasi may ibang case siya and then yung anak niya na dalawa nag-complain rape for 40 counts of rape. So, in-issue yung subpoena while he was in jail. In fact, he pleaded guilty on all counts. So, convicted na siya ngayon. Talagang parang hindi na siya lalabas ng kulungan. Yan yung challenge talaga sa mga cases na yan. Kasi at the time of the issuance of the subpoena, kadalasan yung mga perpetrators natin nagtago na. Nahanap naman sila siguro after ilang years. Yung mga complainant naman natin by that time, wala na ring interest na mag-pursue ng case. So yan po yung challenge sa prosecution service.
Thank you po. One last po pahabol. This is for Pao. You mentioned po kanina, attorney, regarding na yung Pao receives all cases po, any types of cases. So does this include po ba yung ating mga annulment cases?
Well, pag qualified sila, they have to go through the process of qualification Dalawa kasi yung criteria namin in qualifying our client. One is indigency test. The second one is merit test. So pag may merit yung pwede. At saka may qualified siya as an indigent. Wala namang Yung adoption lang. Medyo may limit din talaga kami dyan sa adoption because when you are an adopter, mag-adapt ka ng bata, you must be well off, financially well off. And so definitely, you will not qualify if you are financially well off as an indigent. Pero meron yan certain dimension ng adoption, yung when the own parents adopt their illegitimate child, yung legitimation tawag, or yung a child born out of wedlock, so illegitimate yan. Then subsequently, the parents went to marry each other. So, anak nga nila, biological nila yung anak, kanya lang yung illegitimate because born out of wedlock. Sa batas natin yan. So, pwede nila i-adapt yun. Yung financial aspect ng financial status nila is of no importance anymore. Kanya nakuha-qualify namin yan, ina-assist namin. Thank you.
Thank you very much po. And once again po, maraming salamat din po sa lahat nating mga media partners po who asked questions, and sana po nasagot po ng ating mga resource person po ang inyong mga katanungan ngayong araw. With that, we shall hear po any closing message na po from our resource person. First po, we shall hear from Fiscal Manuel Donato Elumba from the Office of the Regional Prosecutor.
Yes. Thank you, no? Thank you sa lahat. And hopefully, naliwanagan kayo sa functions ng National Prosecution Service. Kasi, to be honest po, ito yung mga hindi masyadong kilala na, na function sa... Ang iniisip kasi ng tao, ng mga layman usually, pag fiscal, kalaban niya ng akusado. Yun lang, no. Ang function po talaga natin is to see to it that justice is done. Wala po tayong pinapanigan, kundi hustisya lang at katotohanan. Thank you.
Next po, we have Ma'am Maria Lourdes Santos Guangco, the Chief po of Probation and Parole Office in Zamboanga City.
Okay, thank you very much for this invitation. And from the Parole and Probation Administration, we would like to thank you and thank you for this opportunity that we're able to inform the public of what we are as an office and the work that we do. Ang konti lang namin and very malaki yung aming trabaho ngayon dahil nga sa tri-functions namin. And just remember, yung opisina, merong tagline, Restoring Lives, okay? Redeeming Lives, Restoring Relationships. Okay? Yun ang gusto namin para sa mga Pilipino na once tumbled and we are given a chance again to live a new life.
Thank you very much po. And of course, last but not the least, we have Attorney Edgardo Gonzalez,
Thank
the
you.
Regional Director po of Public Attorney's Office.
Thank you, Ms. Myra, for this opportunity. To our friends in the media and those viewing online, maraming salamat po at nabigyan kami ng pagkakataon na ihayag yung aming mga ginagawa para yung publiko maintindihan din naman kung ano yung mga proseso na dapat daanan namin. Saka yung performance. Kasi kami taga-servisyo ng public service yung namin, yung the money that we are paid for are public money. So we try to do our best to do the most that we can of what we have. Okay? And I can assure you that our office is open to anyone who needs our services. That was highlighted in the presentation. At open po kami sa lahat ng nangangailangan. 24/7 po kami available. Thank you.
Thank you very much po, Attorney Gonzalez. Once again po, mga nakasama po nating mga ahensya ngayong araw sa ating programa from Public Attorney's Office, Parole and Probation Administration, and National Prosecution Service in Region 9. Muli po, nagpapasalamat tayo sa lahat din po ng ating manonood at sa lahat po ng ating mga media friends and partners po na nakasama natin at nanonood po weekly sa ating programa. Dahil po dyan, gusto po namin kayong anyayahan pa po sa mga susunod pa po nating mga episodes po ng Kapihan sa Bagong Pilipinas. Sa ngalan po muli ng Presidential Communications Office Secretary Cheloy Garafil and Philippine Information Agency Director General Jose Torres Jr. and Regional Director Ms. Noemi Adaga, ito si Myra Espinosa. Muchísimas gracias.